Hello friends, welcome to SuPrabha Academy's MPSC course in English medium. So continuing with the series of delivering information regarding Maharashtra for the MPSC Mains 2025, today in this series we'll understand the agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra and what are the risk factors which are posing for these agroclimatic zones. So as we all know that the agroclimatic zones in Maharashtra, they have been divided into 9 categories, okay? The agroclimatic zones of India have been divided into 15 categories. That apart, Maharashtra has its own agroclimatic zones, which are of these 9 types. First is the South Konkan zone, the North Konkan coastal zone, the Western Ghat zone, sub-mountain zone, plain zone, scarcity zone, the Central Maharashtra plateau zone. Then you have the Central Vidarbha and the Eastern Vidarbha zone, which, if you look at district-wise, these are the different zones. This is the South Konkan, this is the North Konkan, fine. Then you have the third zone, which is the Western Ghat zones. Then you have the sub-mountain zone. Then you have the plain zone, the scarcity zone, then the Central Maharashtra plateau zone, the Central Vidarbha zone, and the Eastern Vidarbha zones. So these are the 9 zones we have with respect to the agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra. You will get straightforward question in GS part of MPSC Mains, and also those students who are facing or who have taken geography as an optional subject. So, first the South Konkan zone comprising of Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg district. Now, this is typically where you have high temperature, high rainfall, very high rainfall, and you have the laterite soil, the red soil. Okay, temperature is always above 20 degrees Celsius, you go in any season. The rainfall, 310 centimeters in 101 days. So this, it faces rainfall for literally 4 months. The soil is laterite, so it's rich in iron. Now you all might be knowing that Sindhudurg over here, you also have iron ore. So that's because we have the laterite soil, which is rich in iron. It is acidic, but it's poor in phosphorus, rich in nitrogen, potassium, and iron. Crops majorly taken over here are rice, spices, areca nut, mangoes. You also have millets over here. Okay. Now, north of it, Palghar, Thane, Mumbai, Raigad. Now, Mumbai is totally urbanized. Therefore, you don't consider it as an agroclimatic zone because Mumbai is 100%. Mumbai suburb. These are the 2 districts in Maharashtra which are 100% urbanized. So, technically, we go for Palghar, Thane, and Raigad as the North Konkan coastal zone. Though geographically, Mumbai and Mumbai suburb are also part of it. So very high rainfall, but this is non-laterite soil. Okay, so average daily temperature is 22 to 30 degrees Celsius. Minimum goes to 17 to 27 degrees Celsius, so it doesn't dip below 10 degrees or something like that. Rainfall, yes, you also have good amount of rainfall, 260 centimeters for literally 3 months. Soil type is porous and shallow. Okay, pH is also acidic. Fine, it is rich in nitrogen, but it is poor in phosphorus and potash. Technically, what crops are grown over here? It's mostly rice, pulses, and also some millets. Rice, pulses, and millets. That's what you have over here. Then, so this is South Konkan, North Konkan. Then you come to the Western Ghats. Now, it is a forested area, Western Ghats. Heavy rainfall. Okay, Western Ghats zone. Temperature, 29 to 39 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature goes to 13 degrees Celsius. Since it is at a higher level, it's a hilly area. Average rainfall, you look at the average rainfall, 300 to 600 centimeters. That's a very high rainfall. Okay, you have different places which have got very high rainfall. Igatpuri, Lonavala, Mahabaleshwar, Radhanagari, they face very heavy rainfall. The soil type, over here it is known as Varkas. It's typically the forest soil we see in India, or we define it as a forest soil, Varkas. And since it is forest soil, it is distinctly acidic. It is distinctly acidic. Poor fertility, low phosphorus and potash content. But yes, if you use fertilizers, this soil can be also put to use to agriculture. Districts, the Ghat regions of Pune, Satara, Kolhapur, Thane, and the crops taken over here is mostly rice, sorghum, groundnut, and some fruit trees. So this is the third agroclimatic region, that is the Western Ghats. Now from the Western Ghats, you have this, the fourth one is going to be the sub-mountain region, okay, which is adjoining the mountain. The sub-mountain region, this is also known as transition zone 1. Temperature over here is between 28 to 35 degrees Celsius maximum, and minimum is 14 to 19 degrees Celsius. Now this is an average. If you consider each place, okay, each individual place, the temperatures might vary, but over here this is an average which you can use for your answers. Average rainfall 70 centimeters to 250 centimeters depending on the place. Soil type, this is reddish brown soil to black tending to lateritic soil. So it differs, it can be reddish brown, black, or it can also be lateritic soil. pH is 6 to 7. Now it is well supplied in nitrogen but low in phosphorus and potash. Mostly the western parts of the Maharashtra will have soils which are poor in phosphorus and potash. Districts, Nasik, Ahilyanagar, Kolhapur, Pune, Satara. So you can very well look at the map. These are the districts. Okay, and the crops taken over here, you have vegetables. Typically in Maharashtra it is known as tarkari. Okay, kharif cereals, groundnut, and you also have sugar cane. So this is the sub-mountain zone. And adjoining the sub-mountain zone, this zone will be the plain zone. Okay, Western Maharashtra plain zone. I have purposely kept map along with the description for each slide so that you get an idea of which zone we are speaking of. Otherwise, it's going to be confusing. So this is the Western Maharashtra plain zone. Now, this plain area, the area which is good, well irrigated, and there is lots of sugar cane. Okay, this is that area. Okay, so transition zone 2, it is also known as transition zone 2. Temperature 40, minimum goes to 5 degrees Celsius. Average rainfall well distributed, 70 centimeters to 120 centimeters, and water is available for 120 to 150 days. Therefore, you can have sugarcane over here. Soil, it's a plain area, soil is greyish black. So since it's a plain area, the soil gets a lot of time to form. On slopey regions where you have slopes, the soil gets dislodged. So the soil does not get much more time to form, but over here, yes, the soil will have time to form. So moderately alkaline, 7.4 to 8.4. Lowest layer is the murum, that is the hard rock you find over here. Okay, it's mostly made up of basalt. Fair in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Well drained and good for irrigation. So Nasik, Ahilyanagar, Kolhapur, Pune, Satara, Sangli, Dhule, Nandurbar, this belt. This belt. Okay, and crops which are taken over here, sorghum, millet, this is the major crop, sugarcane, and you also have wheat. Wherever you have irrigation, you go for wheat in the Rabi season. Okay, that is the current season which is going on. Fine. So this is the fifth one, the Western Maharashtra plain area. So we have done 1 South Konkan, 2 North Konkan, 3 the forest, 4 the sub-mountain, and this is the fifth one, which is Western Maharashtra plain zone. So 5, we have finished off the 5 agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra. Now, beyond this, as you cross the Western Ghats and you come to this part, this zone is the rain shadow region of Maharashtra. Rain shadow region where you don't have much rains because it is in the shadow of the Western Ghats. Fine. So this is the rain shadow region, and therefore it is also known as the scarcity zone. So this is the scarcity zone. Okay. In the maps, it is depicted as inverted hockey stick. Okay. If you look at your maps, atlas, it is depicted as an inverted hockey stick. Fine. So this is that region. So Dhule, Nashik, much part of Ahilyanagar, Pune, Solapur, Satara, Sangli, okay, all these places you are going to have scarcity. Now, maximum temperature goes to 41 and minimum 14 to 15. Since the maximum temperature is high, evaporation is also more. So, rains less, evaporation more, so water available for the crops is also less over here. Average rainfall 75 centimeters, very less in just 45 days. Now, one thing is very peculiar to this part. They receive a bimodal pattern of rainfall. So they'll receive rainfall whenever you have the southwest monsoon winds approaching, as well as whenever you have the retreating monsoon, this area will also receive rainfall from the retreating monsoon. Okay, so you see a bimodal pattern of rainfall. Suffers from very low rainfall with uncertainty and ill distribution. Soil type having slope, general topography having slope between 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. It's plain, but it has some slope. Soil varies from vertisol, okay, that is a black soil, which have montmorillonite clay content. So the clay content is high in the black soil, It is poor in nitrogen, low to medium in phosphate, and well supplied with potash. The districts, as we can see over here, Dhule, Nashik, Sambhajinagar, Ahilyanagar, Pune, Satara, eastern part of Pune, Satara, Sangli, Solapur. Okay, and the crops grown over here, these are the crops which you find in dryland areas, that is bajra, jowar, groundnut, safflower, and pulses. So this is the 6th agroclimatic zone of Maharashtra. Moving ahead, the 7th one. Okay, this is the central Maharashtra plateau. Okay, this will be having these many districts. So if you move ahead, this is the 7th one. Okay, this is an assured rainfall zone because it also receives rainfall on the eastern part. So this is an assured rainfall zone. Maximum temperature 41, minimum 21. Average rainfall is 70 to 90 centimeters. Okay, and 75% of the rainfall in all districts in this zone is received by all districts in this zone. 75% of this rainfall. Soil type, black to red, and it is of vertizols, antizols, and inceptizols. Inceptizols are new soils. Fine. And the pH of the soil is very good. It is nearly neutral, 7 to 7.5. So the districts, now it covers most of the districts. You have Sambhajinagar, Jalna, Beed, Dharashiv, Akola, Amravati, Yavatmal, Jalgaon, Dhule, Solapur districts, major part of Parbhani, Nanded, and complete Latur and Buldana districts. Okay, you can look in the map rather than reading this. You can always refer to the map so that you get a fairly good idea about the districts and the crops over here: jowar, cotton, oilseeds, and pulses. Now this region, Latur and all this region is very well known for pulses, not only in Maharashtra but also in the whole of the country. So pulses, soybean, then cotton. Okay, these are the major crops which are taken in this area. So we have finished the 7th. 8th and 9th. 8th is the central Vidarbha and 9th is the eastern Vidarbha. So 8th one, central Vidarbha. Okay, so if you look at the districts, entire Wardha, major parts of Nagpur, Yavatmal, two tehsils of Chandrapur and parts of Sambhajinagar, Jalna, Parbhani and Nanded districts. That is the 8th one. Now, it is a moderate rainfall zone. See, understand one thing. So this was a scarcity zone. Okay, this was a scarcity zone. Then assured rainfall zone. Then this becomes a moderate rainfall zone. And this becomes, okay, because you also have the Bay of Bengal branch coming over here and giving rains over here. This becomes the high rainfall zone. So scarcity, assured, moderate and high rainfall zone. That's how we proceed. Temperature 33 to 38 degrees Celsius, minimum is 16 to 26. Average rainfall, see, it's increasing over here, 113 centimeters. Black soil derived from basalt rock, medium to heavy in texture, alkaline in reaction. Low areas are rich and fertile. So you have cotton, jowar, tur, wheat and oilseeds which are grown over here. Yavatmal, Wardha, they are very famous for cotton. Okay, you have lots of cotton areas over here. Fine. So that is the 8th central Vidarbha and the 9th one is eastern Vidarbha. The 9th one is eastern Vidarbha. This should be 9. 9th one is eastern Vidarbha and it has got, high rainfall zone. This is high rainfall zone. Okay, my mean temperature varies from 32 to 37 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature is 15 to 24. So you have ample amount of temperature. Daily humidity is 73% for rainy season and 62% for winter and 35% for summer. So you also have some humidity in winter. Average rainfall, now look at the rainfall, 95 centimeters to 125 centimeters and it also increases to 170 centimeters on the extreme eastern side. Okay, Gondia, Gadchiroli. Okay, so it is thickly forested area. Soils derived from parent rock, granite, gneiss. Therefore, you have brown to red and yellow soils over here. Okay, and what are the crops grown? Paddy, pulses, jowar and oilseeds. Since the rainfall is high, you also have paddy over here. So paddy, pulses, jowar and oilseeds. So these are the 9 agroclimatic zones you have. Okay. Fine. So 1, 2, for the Western Ghats 3, submountain 4, the plain, Western Maharashtra plain region 5, okay, the scarcity zone 6, assured rainfall 7, then you have the moderate rainfall, central Vidarbha, and the high rainfall, eastern Vidarbha. These are the 9 agroclimatic zones. Now, along with this, now since they'll be asking you a direct question with respect to the agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra, okay, since you're facing MPSC mains, now, along with this, you also need to know the key issues which these agroclimatic zones they face. First major issue you have is deforestation and habitat loss. But obviously, deforestation would be in those places where you have forests. So you won't find deforestation in the scarcity zone. So deforestation mostly in the Western Ghats and the Konkan coastal zones. So Western Ghats and the Konkan coastal zones. So extensive deforestation for agriculture, urbanization and infrastructure projects has led to habitat loss, threatening biodiversity. Also in the Konkan coastal zones, because we have lost mangroves, that area is now prone to more of the erosion because of waves. Fine. So because of storms and you have lots of erosion. So first is deforestation and habitat loss. Second is water scarcity. This is more seen where you have less rainfall. So what has happened over here, since there is the water scarcity, we have gone for deep wells, very deep wells. Okay. So over extraction of groundwater for irrigation industrial use has led to a significant drop in water tables. That's in the scarcity zone. And in assured rainfall, despite better rainfall, mismanagement and overuse of water. Okay, this has led to seasonal water shortages. That is the problem with respect to water scarcity in the scarcity zone and the assured rainfall zone. Next, soil degradation. This is mostly seen in the transition zone and the eastern Vidarbha zone. Transition zone because of intensive farming and use of chemical fertilizers. Okay, and in the eastern Vidarbha zone, since you have lots of mining activities, there is soil degradation. Now these are specific to the zones. So in the exam, if you get the question, you need to write with specificity what are the issues pertaining to the agroclimatic zones. Fine. Then climate change vulnerability. Yeah, this is one major issue which Maharashtra would be facing. We will be having losses with respect to cotton, soybean, the major crops in Maharashtra. So in moderate rainfall zone, there is an increased frequency of droughts and floods. This we have been experiencing every now and then. So there is an increased frequency of floods and droughts, and there is unpredictable rains, because of which the farmer is not in a position to plan his agricultural activities. Then South Konkan zone, coastal zone, rising sea levels and changing in weather patterns are impacting the coastal agricultural and also the fishery productions. Fine. So Maharashtra is facing an increasing risk from climate change, which is likely to impact 4 major crops. This has been given by the Institute for Sustainable Studies, that the crops which Maharashtra are going to face risk because of climate change are soybean, cotton, wheat and gram. So these are the 4 crops which are going to face problems, risk because of climate change. They are vulnerable to climate change. The late onset of monsoon and the intermittent dry and wet spells have impacted the germination of soybean and cotton. And also excess rainfall in mid-kharif season will increase fungal disease, weeds and pests. So the incidence of pests, fungal diseases, because of which the crops they get destroyed, or because of excessive rains, because of droughts, because of climate change, the germination pattern has changed. These are the major issues which are faced because of climatic change. And lastly, because of pollution. But obvious, in urban areas, those agriculture areas which are near to the urban areas, they face a lot of pollution because of industrial development, and the productivity of agriculture lands, it suffers. So this is about the 9 agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra, which definitely you might get a question in MPSC Mains 2025. Okay, since the syllabus is same as UPSC, but still MPSC is going to focus on Maharashtra. Fine. So in this series is the second lecture. In the first lecture, we have seen the soils of Maharashtra, and now in the second lecture, we have seen the agroclimatic zones of Maharashtra. Fine. In case you want access to this PPT, you can log into Google Classroom using this code. Kindly note this code. You can log into Google Classroom, or you can download the SuPrabha Academy app so that you will get access to these PPTs. Fine. That's all for now. In the next lecture, we'll be covering more part of agriculture, and then we'll be moving to the physical part of Maharashtra, the climate part of Maharashtra, the population of Maharashtra. So we'll be covering the whole aspect of Maharashtra. Thank you, everybody.